And joining us right now, the Orthopaedics guest line from The Athletic. You know him, you read him, you listen to him, especially not just with The Athletic, but you listen to him with The Athletic. Birds with Friends, which is one of the greatest names for any podcast ever in the history of podcasts. Zach Berman joining the show. What's up there, Z Berm?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me on.
So where did the Birds with Friends come? Who named the show?
So it predates me. That's Bo Wolf and Sheil Kapadia, my two colleagues on the show. They were a two-man group, and then they let me come on as the third wheel in 2019. So we have fun with it, but I can't take any credit for the name or for the shenanigans on the show. I kind of show up, and Bo puts me in awkward spots, and we have fun with it. So.
I can only imagine. Zach, I got to figure this out, and I'm trying to do this, and I played a cut earlier, Nick Sirianni, the question you actually asked him about
a poorly worded question, by the way.
What's that?
A poorly worded question. But go on.
No, not at all. Not at all. But you asked him basically about whether or not a player can lose his job when it comes to an injury. A guy like Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard's playing really well, Boston Scott's playing really well. Let me ask you the question. How would you organize this running backs room right now with Miles Sanders potentially coming back for this weekend?
Sure. I would make Miles Sanders the starting running back still. I still think he's the best running back on the team. He's the most talented, and he wasn't playing poorly before the injury. And frankly, the Eagles are playing a different style now than they played when Miles was healthy. So I would have Miles join and play this style that the Eagles are playing. That said, I wouldn't ignore what's happened these past 3 weeks. Jordan Howard's a productive running back. Boston Scott has been productive for them. You saw in 2019 the way Sanders and Howard can complement each other. I would try to tap into that. So that means Sanders doesn't have the same role that he had before the injury. He'd still be the starting guy. One person would need to kind of take a back seat. That would be Kenny Gainwell. I wouldn't give Kenny Gainwell the amount of reps that he's had. But I would have a three-man backfield with Sanders as the lead back, but I would very much make it a committee backfield.
I'm loving what I'm hearing. I'm on the same page as you, my friend. And I quoted this a while back. I want to say it was against the Dallas Cowboys. And it was the story that you and your Birds with Friends co-hosts put together. And that was a story that came out last year, or really in the offseason going into this year, talking about how Jeffrey Lurie was always asking questions about why you're running so much, especially against that Green Bay game, in 2019 when he was asking Doug Peterson, why'd you run the ball so much? And Doug Peterson basically said, well, it was working. So then they hand the ball to the running backs twice against the Cowboys in the first half. And I kept hearkening back to that great piece in The Athletic by you and Bo and Sheil. And I can't help but notice now it seems like a complete change in philosophy where the Eagles seem to be a run-first team over the last 3 weeks.
Sure.
Why do you think that's been, or there's been an about-face in philosophy when it's come to this team?
Yeah, I think what happened really was during that mini bye week, if you will, after that Tampa Bay game, they had a chance to kind of take a step back and assess it. And I think they looked at their roster. They looked at A, who their quarterback is, B, what the strength of the offense is, which is the offensive line. And they tapped into that. And they started it. They wanted to do it in the Vegas game. Didn't really go the way they did just because of the game script early on. But they were trending in that direction. And then it's been working these past 3 weeks. And I give credit to Sirianni because, look, if I was a head coach, I would be throwing the ball. That's, in my opinion, the surest way to win, or that's the best way to win. That's the best possible outcome. What's the expression? That the ball moves faster in the air than on the ground?
Yeah.
It's true. That said, I think Sirianni looked at what he has here, and he's trying to maximize what he has. He's trying to win with this quarterback, with this offensive line. And it's been working. They've won 2 of 3 in the game that they lost on the last second field goal, and the offense is getting much better. So is it sustainable? We'll see this weekend against the number 1 ranked running defense, right? But I do think that they have a better chance of being successful as an offense when they're getting productive yards on first down, when the offensive line can be playing the way they are, when they're leaning on that group as opposed to the other way around.
On the other side of this, talking about that passing game, how would you evaluate Jalen Hurts to this point?
He's improving, which is a compliment. I really mean that. If this season is about evaluating Jalen, or a big part of the season is about evaluating Jalen, you don't want to see him regressing. You don't want to see him stagnating. And he is progressing, and that's a credit to him. That's a credit to the coaching staff. There are throws that he's missed, right? If you think 2 weeks ago, the Chargers game, he missed some throws that they needed him to hit. Mm-hmm. That said, the first half that he played in Denver was the best that he's played since he's been in an Eagles uniform. There's nothing bad I can say about him, and there's a lot good I can say about him based on the way he played in the Denver game. Now, he needs to sustain it. He needs to continue to improve. But the best thing I can say about Jalen Hurts is that week to week, you were seeing him make those strides, and that's what they needed him to do this season.
As you were saying earlier, talking about Jalen Hurts helping his own cause throughout this entire season and whether or not he's Mr. Right as opposed to just Mr. Right now with that age-old question.
I like that expression.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I think he has done more to climb the mountain as opposed to fall down the mountain, if you understand what I'm saying.
I do. And I know, too, that it's all within the context of should he be the guy here beyond the season? And the way I would answer that is he needs to be better than the alternative. And right now, I can and look, I haven't studied all the college draft quarterbacks yet, but watching games on Saturdays, seeing what this class is, I would have more confidence right now going another year with Jalen than swinging on a quarterback with a high first-round pick. Conversely, if you feel you can get Russell Wilson, if you feel you can get a top of the league quarterback, that's a different conversation. But I would have no objection based on what I've seen so far to roll with Hurts for another year and see what you can do with him because he is progressing and he brings a lot to the table. And I think the coaching staff is finding ways to win with him.
Zach, I can't believe what I'm hearing here. First off, I love what you're saying about Jalen Hurts. Love every second of that. You talked about a three-headed monster in the backfield. I'm going to try to push now for something else. Dare I say, do the Eagles have a linebacker in TJ Edwards? Do the Eagles have a linebacker in Davion Taylor? Do the Eagles have multiple linebackers all of a sudden? What's going on there in the linebacking core?
Well, to go back to our previous question, that's Mr. Right now. Okay. The linebackers are Mr. Right now. The linebackers aren't Mr. Right. Okay. I mean, TJ Edwards is a fine player, and I think he's doing a decent job. I'm not building my defense around TJ Edwards. Yeah. Davion Taylor has tools, and he is improving. And credit to them for playing him because the only way Davion was going to improve was by being on the field. So credit to them there. That said, for this defense to be what it needs to be, they're going to need to upgrade at linebacker. I still feel that way. But they can get by this season with this group if Gannon kind of schemes around them, and I think he'll continue to do so.
On that note, I feel like, and I'm on the same page with you again as far as Sirianni goes and his improvement as a game planner, as a play caller as well. Has Jonathan Gannon turned the corner as well? Is this Broncos game a taste of more things to come when it comes to being aggressive and designing a little bit more different blitz patterns or schemes?
Well, I know I'm in the minority here, but I don't think Gannon was as much a problem as maybe fans thought he was, or I guess made him out to be.
Okay.
Right. Look, they had ugly games against top quarterbacks. I can't defend that, and that's the absolute truth. And he did need to be more aggressive with coverages and with his front. But what they've done against middle-of-the-pack quarterbacks or below-average quarterbacks, this wasn't just the Broncos game, right? You saw them do this. You saw them do this in Carolina. You saw them do this in Detroit. You saw them do this in San Francisco. I think Matt Ryan's a better quarterback than he played in Week 1. But they did that in that game. Frankly, they've had – and I'll add this. When you look at what's left on their schedule, it's a lot more quarterbacks like the bottom of the league than the quarterbacks that's at the top of the league. So I think you're going to see more of what you saw. I still think this defense is going to be susceptible against top quarterbacks based on the way they play coverage. If their defensive line doesn't come home, it's going to be a long day against this defense. But when they play against Daniel Jones, when they play against Taylor Heineke, when they play against Trevor Siemian this weekend, I think this defense is going to be much better than their reputation suggests because I think this defense is better than their reputation suggests.
In the early goings here, are you feeling a win on Sunday? Or can I at least get that much from you? Are you feeling a win against the Saints?
So it's still early for me. I haven't dug too much into it, but sure, why not, right? For the sake
I'm sold. I'm sold.
I suppose I'm playing to your audience here, but I think the Eagles have a lot they need to do better on both sides of the ball, but this defense is going to give them a big challenge. They're not going to be able to run the ball as easily. They're going to need Jalen to play the way he did in the first half. Jalen's going to have to make some tough completions. And if Dallas Goedert's not out there, we'll see what happens. He's still in the concussion protocol, so it's out of the team's hands there. But if Goddard is not out there, that really hamstrings the offense. That said, I think this defense is going to make it a tough day for Trevor Siemian. I think they can win an ugly game. I don't know if I would throw all the chips on the table on that one. Yeah. But I feel better about the Eagles in this game, for instance, than I did some of these previous home games they've had.
Next time we check in with you, I'll make sure to get your Sixers prediction as well. But I'm going to remember this about your linebacking, how you broke down the linebackers. It was like, you're setting up a buddy with a girl that and he's like, hey, what's she like? And your first thing is like, she's really nice. Like, that's not, it's kind of what we're saying about these linebackers. Zach Berman.
But I'll say this: really nice is better than what we've seen in the past. Like, there have been linebackers where if it's like if you're setting your buddy up, you say no, stay away, don't go on that date, right? This one, like, go have a good time, but don't marry her. That's what I would say. Yeah. So.
He just got out of a really bad toxic relationship, and this is what he needs. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if this season continues the way it's gone, then we're all going to be happy if the Eagles make the playoffs. That'll be great. Just giving meaningful games in December. If it doesn't, or really either way, buy Zach's book, Underdogs, Relive the Magic of that Super Bowl run from a couple of years ago. Make sure you guys buy that book, available on Amazon. You can see it right there. Underdogs. Zach Berman, The Athletic, and Birds with Friends podcast. Thanks so much for joining the Farzy Show, brother. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Zach Berman joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line.